Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be showing you my quick and easy methods to sewing in a front fly zipper on a pair of pants, and to share with you guys my tips and tricks to help you along the way. Now I've decided to use our Peter Quill Star-Lord replica pants to show you these techniques, so let's get started. Since I'm showing you a step-by-step process and this video might be a little bit lengthy, I've added some time markers in the description box for your convenience. The component of the pants we're going to be working with today is the inner fly flap, the zipper, the fly facing, and the outer fly flap. The first thing I need to do is I need to attach this exterior fly flap to the outside of the pants. What I've found works best is taking this exterior fly flap and laying it over the left side of the pants, because this is where the fly flap will end up in the finished product. So this flap will actually be attached to the right hand side, but for visual reference, to make sure that it's sitting where I want it to, I'm laying it on the left side of the pants first, and then I'm going to take the right side of the pant and I'm going to lay it over the top of this set, making sure to line it up properly. And I've pulled it down about 5/8 of an inch from the top so I can hem and do the finishing on the top. I'm going to pin the flap only to this side, so it'll actually be pinned to the right side like I've done here. Once again, that's just for visual reference to make sure that it looks the way that I want it to look in the finished product, so I'm kind of using it as a gauge. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to top stitch right down here through this section, which is roughly about 5/8 of an inch away. This next step is completely optional, but I like to do this, come in and true up my edge with my serger, just because it gives it that finished look. So once again, we have the interior fly flap, the zipper, and the fly facing that we have to put in now. Okay, so the thing that I've done here is I've taken a piece of tailor's chalk and I have marked 5/8 of an inch away from the edge. What I actually did is I just drew over the line that I just stitched, and I'm going to transfer that line over to the left side of the pant. This is going to represent my center line of the pant. So when we stitch the front and back together and we put these center pieces in, this line will be the gauge for the center of the pant. Now I'm really going slow here so you guys can make sure that you're kind of keeping up with me. What we're going to do is we're going to take the right hand side and we're going to lay it over the left hand side, and then we're going to run to the sewing machine and we're going to stitch the crotch together. Now we're only going to stitch from the bottom of this exterior fly flap down to the edge of the crotch. Okay, so at the sewing machine, again, we're going from the very bottom of the fly flap all the way down. And I'm using a walking foot on my sewing machine. I don't know about you, but the walking foot is kind of my go-to foot for pretty much every project. I will make a video later with more details about the walking foot, but it's probably my favorite. And I'm also using about a size 18 needle because I'm going through so many layers of fabric, and this is pretty dense fabric. Okay, so now that we've got that stitched up, What I'm going to do is the edge where I marked, that chalk line right there, we're going to fold it back and run to the iron, and we're going to press that open. So now after I have this pressed open, you're going to notice that the iron can only get it so flat. And you'll see when you have a lot of layers, no matter how many times you iron it, it doesn't get as flat as it possibly can be. And then you might get hung up with your sewing foot, or you might break a needle. So my tip, what I do is I actually take a hammer. Yes, a hammer. Make sure that your hammer has got a flat edge so it's not rigid, and I'm just going to give it a little tap. You don't have to go all crazy, just a few taps to kind of condense that fabric down a little bit more. It flattens it out, makes it a lot easier to stitch over the top of. And typically you want to focus this tapping where you have seams and bulk. Okay, so now we're going to go to the sewing machine. This is where the fun part starts. What we're going to be doing is we're going to take our zipper, and we're going to take the fly facing. We're putting the zipper roughly, we're going to line it up to the top of the back of this pair of pants. You also want to make sure that you don't put the fabric too close to the edge of the zipper, because those teeth need to move freely. So we're going to go ahead and pin this in super speed mode. Now, this is personal preference. You can either line the bottom of the zipper up where the pull tab is to the bottom, or you can line it up the way that I did, where the top of the zipper is at the top. Now I'm going to take my fly facing with my company logo, and I'm going to put it behind the zipper and make sure that it's lined up where it visually looks how you want it to look. And you'll want to make sure that that flap looks even all the way down. Now you can remove all your pins, or you can just pin the top and the bottom. Typically, because I've gotten so quick at this, I don't even use pins, but for the sake of this video, I am. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the sewing machine, and you're going to make sure that you stitch about 1/8 of an inch away from that edge. And you want to make sure that you don't hit that little metal hook up at the top. But if you've placed your zipper far enough away, you should not run into that problem. Now I'm at about a 3.5 on my stitch length, and I'm just going to go ahead and stitch all the way down. And in one quick second, we've got all 3 of those put together. The left side, the zipper, and the fly facing. And definitely want to make sure that you move your zipper to make sure that it's free play, that it's not getting hung up on any fabric or any threads or anything like that. And flip it over and you look at the back, and it looks perfect. Everything's covered up in there. So next, we're going to take the right hand side of the pant, and we're going to attach that to the zipper now. Now stay with me. I know this part might be a little bit confusing, but we want to take and pin this front fly flap, and obviously you're not going to do this on just a regular pair of pants, but you want to pin that front center up at the top together, so that way, or you can fold it in half this way, but you want to make sure that you basically have the front centers lined up on the pair of pants. And then you'll see right here, this folded edge is the edge that we're going to pull over to put on the right hand side of the pant. Now the best thing to do right here, my extra tip in here, is put the crotch of the pants toward the back of the sewing machine. Make sure this flap is facing toward the right, because you do not want to stitch over it, or you will have to go and unpick and redo this over. Now real closely again, where this is folded over and where we ironed and tapped, we're putting it to the right hand side of the zipper now. and we're sewing from the back of the zipper as opposed to the front of the zipper. And after you have it all pinned in, make sure this flap is not pinned to anything. And then I always like to go in and check right here. I always double check before I put a zipper in, just to make sure I'm installing it the right way. And that looks good. The zipper's facing the right way. So we'll go ahead and we'll close this flap up again. Pin it back together. You can see the back of the pins. Again, we're going to put the crotch of the pant toward the back of the sewing machine. And we're going to make sure that all the flaps and everything are completely out of the way. The only thing that we're sewing through is the back of that zipper that we pinned to the front right hand side of the pant. And you'll see that we're going to start roughly about where the line from the exterior fly flap all the way up. And you want to make sure that you keep your fabric laying kind of flat. Sometimes when you're sewing through this much fabric, you actually have to lift your foot up and reposition it. No big deal. Make sure your needle's in the down position. So we get to the top where the pull tab is, and this is kind of tricky. What I like to do is sink my needle all the way down into the fabric, lift my foot, and I like to reach my hand in and unzip the zipper as far down as you can until it frees up that edge so you can finish stitching all the way up to the top. Make sure you reposition your zipper tape and all the top, and then a back stitch. That was a really long back stitch. I don't know what I was possessed. Okay, so make sure that you cut your threads throughout this way too, because while you're going along, you don't want to get your threads caught into your zipper, so just make sure that you trim them. Now, this next part's completely optional, but you can stitch another line to the right hand side of the tape, and then you can turn it to the front, make sure that everything looks good, which it does. And there you go, we're almost done. You actually have the zipper in the front of your pant. It zips up, it moves. Fantastic. So the next thing that we're going to do is called the fly facing. So when you open up the fly flap, you'll see this edge where we just added the other side of the zipper in. It's raw. So we want to go in and cover that up with your fly facing. So this is the way that we sewed it, the zipper in. Now we're going to add this fly facing right sides together so the curves are facing toward each other. And instead of sewing from the back side where we just did, we're going to sew from the opposite side right here, because you can see the stitch line where we just added in the zipper, and we actually want to follow that same stitch line so everything lines up. And I did just finger pinch this in. I didn't pin it, but you see I keep flipping back and forth to make sure that it's going in correctly. And you want to stitch all the way down to the bottom of where you stitched before and then back tack. And clipping all my threads. And you'll see when you zip it up that lays perfect. And you're pretty much done. Just one last step, turning your pant toward the back. That bottom curve right there, we're just going to give that a quick stitch from roughly about here all the way down to the bottom. And this is so simple. This actually just keeps the pant from laying funky against your body and from opening up too far. Now, if you're making normal blue jeans, these steps are a little bit different, and I'll do a different video to show you that in the future. But for the sake of this video, in costuming, I wanted to show you how I did this. And you can see that it doesn't open up all the way, and that way it'll force it to lay with the flap toward your left-hand side of the body. And you can see everything's encased right here. There's no open spots, and we're done. So here are a few pictures of the pants completely put together. And congratulations to you for following along and learning how to do a front fly zipper with me. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, definitely feel free to contact me. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel to keep up with all the tutorials that I do. You can also follow me on other social media like Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter. And if you guys have any other costume requests, definitely let me know. We'd love to help you out with your next project. Thanks again, guys and gals, and happy stitching.